The searing desert heat turned the training camp into a furnace, with sand grains clinging to everything as the resounding booms of live fire echoed through the shooting range. Corporal Veronica Kane had faced 3 challenging weeks at Fort Carson's elite marksmanship course, and each sunrise heralded the same routine. Assembling her rifle in silence while 23 male recruits dominated the line, Veronica had earned her spot through outstanding shooting records and flawless simulation performance. Raised in the rugged terrains of Wyoming, her grandfather, a lauded Army Ranger who passed when she was just a teen, had secretly imparted his sharpshooting skills to her. "Never fire to prove your worth, Veronica," he always advised. "You fire to shield those who can't shield themselves." But here, surrounded by seasoned soldiers and lifelong military personnel, those lessons felt like faraway memories. The murmured jabs started as soon as she neared the range each morning. "Look who's here, princess. Sure you didn't mean to enlist for the nursing corps?" they'd tease. "Careful, your lipstick doesn't fog that scope." The most persistent bully was Master Sergeant Richard Blackwood, an imposing figure with 4 deployments, who made it his daily mission to impress upon Veronica that she was wasting everyone's precious time. Blackwood had mastered placing himself within earshot whenever he delivered his sharp critiques. "Dollars to donuts. She's out by next week," Blackwood commented one morning as Veronica knelt to assemble her weapon. "We've real soldiers waiting to join this program, and command accepts a publicity stunt with perfect penmanship." Veronica's hands remained steady as she secured her scope. She understood early that reacting only fueled their taunts. Instead, she focused on her breathing, the solid weight of her weapon, the target 800 meters away, awaiting her shot. "Say whatever you need to," she murmured calmly, eyes never leaving her task. "When the real test comes, I'll be ready." Blackwood laughed grimly, crossing his arms. "You'll be out before we even hit real combat. This isn't an arcade game, darling. This is war." The nearby soldiers chuckled, but Veronica tuned them out. She had work to do. The certification course was brutal, 12 weeks of advanced marksmanship, fieldcraft, and tactical shooting under grueling conditions. Only 8 would graduate as snipers. The rest would return to their regular units, ambitions dashed. As Veronica aimed, she glanced at a small photo in her rifle case. Her grandfather in uniform, showing the same determined eyes she saw in her reflection each morning. He'd believed in her when no one else would. Now she was here, exactly where she belonged, even if everyone else was blind to it. They didn't know that her grandfather left more than memories. He left a regime that was unstoppable. The morning tests began with each soldier firing 3 shots at 800 meters under capricious winds. Veronica watched Blackwood step forward first, his shots grouped neatly, but not perfectly. 2 were hits, 1 barely skirting the scoring zone. He nodded with smug satisfaction. When Veronica's turn arrived, the range grew eerily silent. She felt their stares, anticipating her failure, hoping to cement their biases. She took position, controlled her breath, and let everything else vanish. 3 shots, 3 perfect bullseyes, dead center. The silence lingered. Finally, the range officer declared, "Kane, outstanding shooting, next up." The effect was unmistakable. Veronica had announced herself as a serious contender, evident in their reactions: shock, reluctant respect, and in Blackwood's case, what seemed like smoldering fury. As she packed her rifle, Veronica knew this was just the beginning. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, tougher tests, and more chances for her peers to remind her she was the outsider. But she knew something they didn't. She wasn't leaving. They had no clue that the real test was about to start, and Veronica Kane had trained for it her whole life. By week 4, the training stepped up a notch with the introduction of advanced field exercises. Master Sergeant Blackwood didn't waste any time asserting his dominance. During the morning briefing, he read off the names for the upcoming tactical infiltration exercise, a key trial where pairs would attempt to reach a target undetected across 3 miles of harsh terrain. "Michaels, you're with Thompson," Blackwood announced, pairing some of the course's top talents. "Mitchell, team up with Rodriguez. Coleman, pair with Peterson." Veronica waited as the assignments were made, braced for what seemed inevitable, even though she hoped otherwise. "Kane!" Blackwood called, his tone carrying its usual disdain. "You're with me!" The announcement sent ripples of laughter through the group, everyone understanding that Blackwood had arranged for Veronica to be his partner, not to aid her success, but to ensure her failure under his watch. "Any objections to your partner, Kane?" Blackwood asked, noting her brief pause. "None, Sergeant," Veronica answered steadily. She had expected this. Blackwood wasn't content merely mocking her from afar. He wanted a front-row seat to her supposed downfall. But Veronica had been watching Blackwood's tactics for weeks and had uncovered a flaw that would alter everything. The infiltration challenge began at sunrise. Each pair had 5 hours to traverse the distance and secure an undetected firing position 200 meters from the objective. A dummy on a hill under the vigilant gaze of instructors equipped with binoculars and scopes. Veronica proposed taking a route down a dried stream bed, making use of natural cover, and steering clear of the exposed ridgelines where others might tread. It was a longer path, but offered superior protection. "Negative," Blackwood snapped instantly. "We're going direct over the ridgeline. Time's critical." "Sergeant, that route exposes us for 900 meters. The observers will spot us immediately," she replied respectfully. Blackwood turned to her, his gaze icy. "Kane, I've executed operations like this since before you could spell sniper," he barked. "We're taking my path, and you'll follow orders. Got it?" Veronica swallowed her frustration. Military hierarchy left no room for debate, even when wrong. "Understood, Sergeant." Predictably, the exercise turned disastrous. Just as Veronica foresaw, within 90 minutes, they were spotted by observers, causing their elimination from the exercise. As they trudged back to the assembly area, Blackwood ensured his voice was loud enough for others. "Some folks just aren't suited for field operations," he announced. "Requires more than a good shot to be a sniper. You need tactical sense, which some either have or don't." Veronica stayed silent, though she was seething inside. She'd known the better route and had professionally tried to convey it, only to be overridden. Now, Blackwood was twisting their mutual failure as proof of her inadequacy. That night, Veronica made a pivotal choice. Listening to conversations in the barracks, soldiers questioned her field performance. "She might be skilled on the range, but the field's a different beast," one remarked. "Blackwood's got a point about tactical insight." Veronica meticulously cleaned her rifle. Her grandfather's letter, with its familiar creases, lay open beside her. "You fire to defend those who can't defend themselves," he wrote. "But what if those you aim to protect refused your help?" Veronica began to realize this challenge wasn't only about showcasing her shooting skills. Blackwood and those like him weren't simply evaluating her competence, they were actively working to undermine it. And tomorrow would present new chances for them to advance their agenda. Yet Veronica Kane hadn't come this far to concede defeat. If they were playing games, she'd compete on their level, and she had a plan that would expose everything. By the 6th week, Blackwood had honed his campaign of relentless undermining into something both calculated and perilous. It wasn't just derogatory comments anymore. During gear inspections, he'd identify minuscule faults in Veronica's equipment that he'd ignore for others. In ballistics and weather reading lessons, he singled her out with impossible hypothetical questions designed to trip her up. "Kane!" he called out during a lecture on wind compensation. "You've got a 300-meter shot, crosswind blowing 15 to 20 meters per hour from the northwest, temperature dropping, humidity rising. Your rifle's calibrated at sea level, but you're at 5,000 feet. Give me your holdover in 10 seconds." Even seasoned sharpshooters would need time to calculate so many variables, but Veronica had learned to stay sharp under fire. She'd supply the calculation, typically correct, only for Blackwood to point out a minor technical flaw. "Close, but you neglected the Magnus effect at that distance. In a real scenario, that error costs lives." Yet Veronica had been documenting everything, and she wasn't alone in her observations. Others started to see Veronica as a liability, not due to her actual performance. Her shooting remained among the best, but because Blackwood's constant criticism cast a shadow of doubt. If their instructor doubted her abilities, perhaps they'd better rethink too. Isolation hit hardest during meals when conversations died around her. Study groups ignored her. Equipment distribution left her with the leftovers. Yet the most cutting moment came from Corporal John Webb, who vocalized what many whispered. During a break, he talked to a group not far from the storage shed. "Not a jab at women in combat," Webb said, with the practiced tone of someone who'd delivered this speech before. "But in a firefight, you want to trust the person next to you. If Blackwood doubts her, maybe there's reason." Veronica felt a chill in her core. Blackwood wasn't merely trying to break her spirit any longer. He was alienating her future teammates. In combat, trust was paramount. A sniper's partner needed absolute faith in their capabilities. Lacking that trust, the mission was over before it started. That night, a note found its way under her door, unsigned, printed in bold letters. "Save yourself the shame. Transfer out before someone gets hurt." Veronica examined it for a long moment, then tucked it away by her grandfather's cherished letter. Someone wanted her isolated, convinced she was alone. But Veronica had noticed an oversight on their part, and the next day would alter everything. The following morning brought news that shifted the entire paradigm. The instructor revealed that in 10 days, the class would engage in a live-fire field exercise in the Colorado Rockies. "Your final evaluation before qualification," he said. "Beyond marksmanship, you'll be assessed on tactical skills, leadership under stress, and teamwork." Looking around the room, Veronica saw her classmates brimming with anticipation. This was the moment they'd all been training for, a chance to prove themselves in an environment nearly indistinguishable from active combat. Across the room, Blackwood caught her eye with a grin devoid of friendliness. With sudden clarity, Veronica realized the true challenge wasn't the exercise itself, but whatever Blackwood intended when they were isolated in the wilderness, armed and unsupervised. But this was also her chance to unveil her hidden truth and prove that everything they assumed about her was wrong. The night before their deployment, Veronica sat alone in the equipment room, examining topographical maps of the training area. The Rocky Mountains spanned 30 square miles of rugged terrain, ideal for testing sniper teams under duress. She examined every elevation, potential hideout, and approach route, but more crucially, she'd been studying something entirely different. Blackwood entered at 2100 hours. "Burning the midnight oil, Kane?" He sat across from her, derision in his voice. "Worried about tomorrow?" "Just prepping, Sergeant," Veronica replied, eyes on the maps. "You know," Blackwood said with a calculated tone, "I've been given some leeway on team arrangements for tomorrow's mission." Veronica glanced up. His tone was a warning. "I could pair you with someone like Michaels," Blackwood continued. "Someone who might carry you through. Or," his smile turned icy, "I could ensure you're where your actions have critical consequences." "I don't need anyone to carry me, Sergeant." "We'll see about that," Blackwood replied. "Tomorrow, Kane, you'll learn what it's like when the safety net is gone. Just you, your rifle, and the mission. No monitors, no protocols, no safety." When Blackwood left, Veronica turned to her grandfather's letter, focusing on the part she'd never shared, the part that held the key to unveiling the truth the next day. As dawn broke, the transport helicopters were already lifting off, cutting through the chilled morning air towards the vast expanse of the Colorado Rockies where the ultimate test awaited. Veronica sat upright, her rifle case secure between her feet, as the barren landscape unspooled beneath them. Across from her, Blackwood, half reclining with the casualness of someone who believed himself untouchable, traded jocular barbs with the other soldiers, making sure to omit her from his banter. "This is where it gets real, gentlemen," Blackwood barked over the rotor's drone. "Time to separate the pros from the pretenders." Veronica stayed composed, tuning out the noise. While Blackwood courted attention, she'd been ingraining the mission parameters and emergency protocols, committing call signs and backup plans to memory. She was ready for battle in more ways than one, ready to unveil a secret that would upend their perceptions about her. Upon arrival, The exercise proved to be a complex operation. Each team was tasked to navigate a 30-square-mile radius to locate and retrieve intelligence packages before reaching an extraction points. They'd use modified rounds for the hit registration system, but the pressure and risks were tangible. Expectedly, Veronica was placed on Alpha Team under Blackwood's command, just as he had suggested. Alongside them were Webb, Thompson, and 2 soldiers unknown to her. "You're on comms, Kane," Blackwood ordered curtly. "Maintain radio traffic and stay silent while the actual operators handle the shooting." Veronica nodded, unfazed. She'd anticipated this minimal role, having studied the terrain and understanding that by taking charge of communications, she had access to intelligence across all units. 6 hours into their task, Alpha Team had retrieved their objective, a sealed drive within a communications center deep in the range. As they made excellent time to the rendezvous, Veronica's radio crackled with an unforeseen alert. "Control to all units, code black. Armed hostiles in the area. This is not a drill." A chill swept the team. "Repeat. Exercise terminated. Hostiles breached with live weapons. Engage only if necessary. New extraction at Grid Delta 6. Blackwood cursed softly as the reality sank in. Live ammunition, actual threats. That's when the first shot echoed from the ridge. Before the team fully processed the danger, Veronica was already acting instinctively. Rather than seeking shelter, she moved with fluid precision, honed by years of clandestine training. Not from this program, but from her grandfather's lifelong mentorship. As the others scrambled, Veronica eyed the ridgeline through her scope, pinpointing the sniper's location almost intuitively. "Sniper, 10 o'clock!" someone shouted. But Veronica already had the target within her sights. From 600 meters up, the enemy sniper's scope gleamed, betraying his spot just a tad. Her trigger finger remained steady as her grandfather's wisdom flooded back. "You fire to protect those who can't protect themselves." With a calm exhale, she squeezed the trigger. The enemy fell. But the danger wasn't over. 2 more adversaries aimed to flank her team, unaware of Veronica's calculated vigilance and her peripheral vision, skills fine-tuned through her grandfather's teachings. While her team was still grappling with the first threat, Veronica was dealing with the second and third threats. 2 succinct shots later, silence reclaimed the mountainside. Turning, Veronica met Blackwood's stunned gaze. Thompson was slack-jawed. Despite Webb's wound, he stared at her like seeing her anew. "How on earth, Kane?" Blackwood uttered. "My grandfather was Master Sergeant Hugh Kane, Vietnam Special Forces, 217 confirmed kills, Medal of Honor awardee. Trained me since childhood," she divulged softly, sliding her rifle away. "You spent weeks trying to break me, Sergeant, but I was instructed by someone who survived unthinkable trials." For once, the typically unflinching Blackwood had no retort. "Continue to Delta 6, the radio instructed. Medevac en route." Veronica straightened, hoisting her gear. "Let's move, Sergeant," she stated, passing him as she headed for the egress point. Behind her, the team fell into line, but now there was no question of where she belonged. As the sun dipped and painted the mountains in gold, Alpha Team neared their new extraction point. With 4 sophisticated mercenaries emerging, spraying bullets, they discovered a new threat. These weren't amateurs or lost wanderers. Veronica recognized them for what they were: professional soldiers, renegades using this terrain for illicit operations. Gunfire exploded from all sides. Blackwood sought refuge behind a fallen trunk, laying down suppression. Webb, with his injured shoulder, hauled Thompson to safety behind a boulder. Rodriguez was hit and fell hard. Chaos reigned, their squad outgunned, short-sighted, and cornered. Yet Veronica remained focused. As her squad battled for position, she maneuvered with calm efficiency, as if instinctively guided by a higher power. A low crawl here, calculated shots there. Everything rehearsed countless times with her grandfather was now happening for real. The first hostile gained a vantage point. Veronica, patient and calculating, found him through her sights, a clean shot despite partial cover and motion. Exhale, trigger release, down he went. The second gunman, unnerved, tried to flee. Veronica, already anticipating his movement, led him perfectly. Her shot rang true again. The third, realizing the scale of the threat, turned to retreat. Blackwood's shots went wide, but Veronica had already set her sights, adjusting for variables. Her third shot resonated in the mountains. The final adversary, witnessing the precise elimination by a single shooter, surrendered. Silence descended on the mountains once more. As they regrouped at the pickup point, the realization of their dire circumstances and miraculous survival began to pervade the team, with collective attention gravitating towards Veronica. Blackwood approached, holding his helmet tentatively. His stern demeanor softened, exposing the inner turmoil of a man facing his shattered biases. "Kane," he began hesitantly, "I misjudged you. You've saved us all." Words lingered weightlessly before sinking into the collective understanding of her peers. Webb, despite his injury, offered a beleaguered smile. "Never seen shooting like that," he praised. "Not finished yet," Blackwood declared. "If you'd like, you could have a permanent spot on my team. You deserve to lead it." Veronica accepted the acknowledgement with a silent nod. "First, let's get everyone out safely," she replied, steering focus back to the task. Minutes later, the air quivered with helicopter blades as the medevac came into view, stirring up debris as the team assisted Rodriguez and Webb onto the stretcher. Veronica lingered behind, turning once to gaze at the battlefield that had both welcomed and tested her. She'd silenced the doubts, proven herself, and today, she had reshaped misperceptions as she demonstrated her rightful place. Back at the base, the news of what transpired in the Rockies spread like wildfire. Veronica had not only proven herself under pressure, but had shown that the boundaries others had set for her were figments of their imagination. Her remarkable performance, eliminating multiple hostiles and ensuring the safety of her team under fire, had caught the attention of everyone from instructors to command staff. 3 weeks later, the base auditorium was buzzing with anticipation. Service uniforms filled every seat: Army, Air Force, Navy, and even a few civilians, all gathered for a ceremony unprecedented in its significance. Positioned at the forefront were commanding officers and visiting dignitaries, a small contingent of media crew hovering quietly at the back, cameras poised to capture the moment. Yet, this grand assembly wasn't gathered for a general or seasoned officer. They were here for Corporal Veronica Kane. Behind the stage, Veronica sat in her dress uniform, newly issued and meticulously prepared. Every inch radiated professionalism, yet inside, her heart was racing. This stage wasn't a battleground, but standing on it filled her with a similar intensity. At the podium stood Colonel Lisa Thompson, leader of the sniper training program. Her voice broke the expectant silence. "We often say that actions speak louder than words, but today they deserve commendation," Colonel Thompson began, which only added to the eager quiet among the attendees. "A few weeks ago, during what began as a routine training, a single soldier performed 7 confirmed eliminations under extreme stress, safeguarding her entire team." The pause she allowed let the magnitude of this achievement settle in the room. "What makes this extraordinary isn't just her skill," the colonel continued, "but that she prevailed in an environment where she'd been told consistently she didn't belong." A wave of understanding murmured through the audience. Veronica could see the discomfort in some officers' eyes. "But you might not be aware," Colonel Thompson resumed, "that Corporal Kane comes from one of the nation's most distinguished sniper bloodlines." Silence ensued as she revealed, "Her grandfather, Master Sergeant Hugh Kane, served 3 tours in Vietnam as Special Forces, with over 200 confirmed kills, awarded the Medal of Honor. Her father, Staff Sergeant Brian Kane, fought in Desert Storm, earning a Purple Heart and 43 confirmed eliminations." The room shifted. Whispers of surprise echoed the revelation as eyes focused on Veronica. Corporal Veronica Kane did not merely inherit the legacy. She inherited the training, nurtured from age 6 by a legend in sniper tactics, the colonel stated with pride. She gestured to a case at her side and revealed a striking medal, one so rarely bestowed upon anyone below the rank of captain. Corporal Veronica Kane, front and center. Rising with composed dignity, Veronica moved towards the podium amidst the standing ovation, the applause resonant but no longer needed. She'd discovered something more profound than public approval. She'd found her own strength. Colonel Thompson affixed the medal above Veronica's left pocket. With voice brimming with acknowledgement, she announced, "For exemplary bravery under duress, tactical prowess, and securing your team at personal risk, you have earned this, Corporal." As cheers filled the hall, Veronica stood firm, prepared to voice something deep and true. The applause quietened, leaving a silent stage. "I was constantly reminded I didn't belong," she started, her voice clear and unwavering. "Told I was inadequate, a distraction, a mistake because of my gender." She faced the audience, not with anger but unyielding resolve. But danger doesn't care about those distinctions, nor should we. Her unwavering gaze met those of the decorated veterans at the forefront. "Women have been in combat long before anyone allowed it," she declared powerfully. "We've just rarely received the acknowledgement." Her words dissolved into a stillness. Then ripples of applause began, genuine and loud, spreading from the front to the back as her peers acknowledged what she had achieved. As the ceremony concluded, Veronica stepped outside into the brisk air, thoughts racing, emotions swirling. There stood Master Sergeant Blackwood, the very man who had once scrutinized her potential. He snapped to attention, offering a formal salute. "You were destined for this," he said sincerely. "I'm honored to have served under your command, despite my earlier blindness." Returning his salute, Veronica broke into a genuine smile. "Better late than never, Sergeant," she quipped. But the day held more yet. Later in her quarters, a package from home arrived. Nestled within it lay her grandfather's combat diary and a note from her grandmother. "Victoria, Joe knew this would reach you when the time was right. He left a message for you on the last page. We're proud of you." With hands both eager and respectful, she opened to the final entry in familiar handwriting. "For Veronica, you fire to protect others, but remember, sometimes the one who needs protecting most is the warrior walking alone. Be your guardian, dear fighter. The family legacy carries on, Grandpa Joe." With the diary and medal in her grasp, Veronica understood that more than marksmanship, her grandfather taught self-reliance against doubts and isolation. The lessons had strengthened her far beyond any bullets or battle, preparing paths for those who would follow her steps.